Today we explore the movie called The Last Voyage of the Demeter, which was released in 2023. The film is a small part in the story of Dracula by Bram Stoker, where a ship is heading towards London, England, and Dracula is on board. The ship contained 50 boxes of experimental earth. As it travels, a storm seems to follow them and carrying them out to sea. A small chapter in the story now becomes a feature film on its own. During the journey, the storm continues and the crew is feeling uneasy. They believe someone or something is on the ship with them. In the story by Bram Stoker, we know the crew did not survive the journey because we see Dracula attack them in the film from 1992, but the newspaper in London would report on a mystery schooner with its crew missing. This new film about the last voyage of the Demeter would go into detail about the events before the ship sailed out to sea and what happened along the journey. So they took a small section of the story which contained the captain's log and made that into the full movie. The opening tells us that in 1897, a Russian schooner was chartered to carry private cargo. It contained 50 wooden crates from Romania to England. When the ship arrived, it was derelict. On the date of August 6, 1897, a few men would find the ship. If we look at the notes from Bram Stoker, the date is different. It says here August 9th, when it was found alongside the coast of Whitby, but the Demeter film has the date of August 6th. Another entry I found for August 6th is when Mina is worried about Jonathan because he stopped writing back to her and nobody knows what's happening to him. The men who found the ship on the dock of Whitby also found the book that contains the ship's log, and inside it says, "This log is a warning. If it finds you, may God help you, as he has abandoned the Demeter." They tried to stop it, but they did not succeed. The film would take us back 4 weeks earlier, on July 6, at the port of Varna, Bulgaria. We see the Demeter ship. We are introduced to the ship's captain, Elliot. They are short on crew, so he sends Mr. Wojciech to rally up 3 men. They come across Mr. Clemens, who's dressed like an educated man. He went to Cambridge University. He says he's a doctor, but he's not accepted and replaced by other men who seem physically stronger. When they start loading the boxes onto the boat, one man sees the symbol of a dragon and loses focus on pulling the box. It falls down, almost landing on Toby, the boy of Captain Elliot, but he is saved by Mr. Clemens. The man who knows the dragon symbol says it's a bad omen, then walks off the boat. They are now 1 man short, so Mr. Clemens would take his spot. The box that fell shows to contain some kind of dirt. There's a reason Dracula is transporting dirt. It's because it says he needs to be in his homeland to be at full power, or at least transfer the dirt from there and rest inside the coffin full of his Earth home. The movie in 1992 says that Dracula is able to move around in daylight unaffected by light, but he's a lot weaker. But before this, he needs to rest in a coffin full of dirt from his homeland. On July 6, they finished taking in cargo with 9 hands, crew of 5, 1 ship doctor, 2 mates, a cook, and the captain. The wind is fair as they set sail for the seas. The captain would tell Mr. Wojciech that this voyage is his last. He wants to buy a cottage and spend time with his daughter. Once they reach London, he would promote Mr. Wojciech as the new captain of the Demeter. During that night, as the crew are sleeping, something is shown to escape from one of the boxes. The rats would notice this and start to run away. Later on, the animals that are in the cargo hold start to get restless. It might be from the storm, but we know there's something else down there. Mr. Clemens would go down there. He covers the cages with a blanket, then goes to check on the cargo. One of the crates was damaged. He inspects the contents only to see it's just dirt. And inside, he finds a female stowaway, but she's drained of blood. Mr. Clemens would proceed with a blood transfusion to save her life. Meanwhile, Dracula would awaken to see the body of the woman is gone. It looks like he was transporting her as food, so he can feed on her body throughout the journey. We then go topside of the ship, where Mr. Clemens and another man are steering the ship. As Clemens would look around, Olgarin appears behind him, and he would ask, "Did you see it? There's something out there." In the lower deck of the ship, we can see a shadowy figure in the back. As the ship's dog finds it, it is then attacked by this figure. The cook would check on the livestock to find they were all attacked. Then the crew are shown what happened. The captain thinks it could be a plague, but Clemens would assure them this was a physical attack. One man tries to blame Mr. Clemens, but Olgarin speaks up and tells them, "No man did this. Evil is on board. Powerful evil." The animal bodies are then tossed overboard. As the men are working on the sails, Olgarin would tell Mr. Clemens that he saw something last night. He saw a face in the dark. But Mr. Clemens does not believe in superstitions. He only believes in science and nature. July 16, Captain's log. They had rough weather the past 3 days, and all hands are busy on deck. He says the doctor is still caring for the female stowaway, but her condition is the same. Food is running sparse, and men are downcast. As they pass Cape Matapan, they still have over 2 weeks of travel. The book is a bit different, where it says one crew member is missing around this time, but in the film, this part happens shortly after. The story would go back to Toby, who's been watching on the female. Her name is Anna. Mr. Olgarin taught the boy some Romani. This woman, Anna, keeps repeating a word over and over, harandi, which means feed. Clement would run into the cook, who tells him the rats are quiet. Something drove them off. A ship with no rats is not normal. And this is when Petrovsky goes topside, walks around the deck looking for someone, but he runs into Dracula and he's taken out. The next morning, the crew would examine the area and Petrovsky is said to be missing. They assume he got drunk. He removed the ropes off the wheel and fell overboard, but that does not explain the blood on the ground. Clemens would tell the captain that the dog's body had bite marks on its neck. All the animals did. Their arteries were ripped open. The woman Anna also shows up. She starts panicking and tells the men, "He is here. We need to get off this boat." Mr. Clemens would have to hold her down to keep her calm. In the movie, the captain's log of July 18 says Petrovsky was missing, but in the book, this was noted on July 16. Anna would tell Mr. Clemens about what is on the ship, along with some backstory to it. "It is spoken in my village of an evil that lives in the mountains above, a castle older than any of us, an evil that appears as a man when it wants to hide its true nature, and at night he feeds on the blood of the innocent. I have lived in the shadow of that castle my whole life. I knew that the elders, they made bargains for the safety of our people. We call him Dracula. He brought me here to feed." He is here, Mr. Clemens, the thing that wears the skin of a man. In the night, it drinks our blood, and he is on this ship, which means that we will never leave. 2 men would be up top checking the ship, but one gets jumped by Dracula and taken out. As Olgarin watches, unable to help, he screams out, "Please, no," and starts climbing up near the sails. Dracula would watch Olgarin go up. Then for a moment, they look at each other, only for Dracula to mimic what Olgarin just said. "Please, no." Then he smiles as Olgarin continues to climb. The other people would arrive up top and find Olgarin's body just hanging. He's injured and bitten on the neck. He's in a full panic and screaming. But in the morning, he's still sleeping and unable to wake up. The crew would then search the ship and have 2 men armed and on watch. It then goes back to Olgarin, who starts shaking and screaming. As he wakes up, his eyes are white, possibly under the control of Dracula. Toby would run into Olgarin, who's now walking around. Toby would run away in fear and lock himself in a room. He goes to hide under something. As Olgarin smashes his head against the door to break it, Toby would make noise by hitting the nearby wood. Once the crew arrives, they try to get the door open, only to see that Dracula is in the same room with Toby. By the time they open the door, it's too late. Toby was bitten. Before sunrise, they speak to Olgarin, who's tied up. He says a few words, but as the sun rises, Olgarin's body burns in fire. His screams are then silenced as Wojciech puts a bullet into him. Mr. Clemens would later go over the ship's log to find that 50 crates are being sent to Carfax Abbey, London, but no owner was listed. The novel does mention these boxes are to be placed in a partially ruined building forming part of the house and marked A on a rough diagram enclosed. It is in the ancient chapel of the mansion. The cook shows up behind another man. He knocks him out, lowers a small boat, and tries to escape, leaving everyone behind on the ship. Clemens would ask Anna, "Why is this creature going to London?" And Anna tells him, "Because in my country, there is no one left to feed on." The two of them would then search the cargo for those 50 crates. As they open them, they only find dirt inside, but then they find one that's different. It's got a special lock on the corner, which Anna figures out. When they open it, they find a special cane. The top handle looks like a wolf. Anna would say, "We have found where the devil sleeps." We then go back to the cook who got off the ship. And yeah, Dracula finds him and lands on his little boat, and most likely takes him out. When morning comes, the crew say their last prayers for Toby, but right before he's thrown off the ship, Captain Elliot says he saw the boy move. He opens the bag to see Elliot is now a lifeless body of evil. He awakens and starts to burn in the sunlight. Captain Elliot would get some burns on his hands and face for being too close. Then the body is tossed into the sea. They figure out the creature was supposed to feed off Anna during the journey, but then it would target other crew members, just one a night. And now they're so close to London, the creature no longer needs anyone else, so their plan is to trap the creature and sink the ship. As the ship gets closer to the shores of England, a large amount of mist or fog would cover the ship. This would make it hard for the crew to see. Anna tells the other men that she still feels connected to this beast. It will come for her, and when it does, the other men know what to do. But she warns Mr. Clemens. The creature knows the men are waiting for it. As the crew come under attack, Clemens would notice it has wings. And just like that, one man is taken out. And Wojciech is bitten later on when he's down below, breaking a crate to help sink the ship. The captain is also bitten when he's at the steering wheel. So now it's down to Clemens and Anna as the ship sails in a big storm, almost reaching London. Anna shoots the creature in the back, then Clemens would injure it with an axe. But it's not enough. The creature is still alive. They try to reach a safety boat, but the creature grabs a hold of Mr. Clemens. The man would say to the creature, "I do not fear you." The monster would cut the neck of Clemens with its nail. It then responds by saying, "You will." Anna would cut a rope, which breaks one of the sails, and it falls on an angle and impales into the creature, holding it against the wood behind it. Anna and Clemens would jump overboard as the ship crashes into the shore, and some men on land would see it coming in. This is when Dracula pushes that large object off his body and screams. The ship never sank. It arrived in London with Dracula on board. As the sun would rise in the morning, Clemens would notice that Anna is changing. The transfusion he did for her only delays the process. She was doomed from the start. There was no saving her. She burns in the sunlight, and Clemens makes it back to the shores of London. In this 2023 film, the newspaper that had this report of the ship was the Daily Graph, but in the 1992 film, it was the Standard, which also had a different date. The final part shows Clemens planning to visit Carfax Abbey. He knows where the creature lays to rest during the day. It's a long travel, but he has to wait until morning. While in a bar, he runs into Dracula. Dracula would pass by Mr. Clemens and waves his arm by the wound he left on his neck. Clemens would feel something and quickly gets up. He looks around only to see someone leaving at the door. He walks out the door to see Dracula in the distance. He then vows to hunt it down and send it back to hell. The end. During the film in 1992, they used different dates in the captain's log. The ship left the port of Varna on 27 June, but in the film from 2023, the log says July 5. The film in 1992 shows that Dracula used a different form when he was on the Demeter ship, but the recent film has him using a bat form. There's a few more differences between the two movies, but that's it for this video. Which movie do you think is better? Tell me in the comments. Thanks for watching, leave a like rating on the video, and I'll see you on the next one.